Great. Thank you. Great. Thank you so much, Naomi, for facilitating this and for hosting me. So, hi, everyone. Thanks for joining today. I know it's a very busy time of year, so I appreciate your time. Um, I am an employee of Kurzweil Education. Kurzweil develops literacy support software, and I'll focus today on Kurzweil 3000. I've been an employee here for over 12 years. I love working here. It's a great organization. I live in New England, but I work with many states all throughout the East Coast. Prior to working here, I worked for another organization developing assistive technology, and before that, a special needs teacher. So what I'd like to do today is start off by showing you our organizational website, because it has a lot of helpful resources on it. And then I'll jump right into the program to give you a broad overview of the tool. So as Naomi just said, feel free to put questions in the chat. You may also certainly unmute yourself at any point in time, and I'll give you my contact information before the end of today. So I want to start off by showing our organization's website to you. So the URL is kurzweiledu.com. The area of our website that's updated most frequently and recently had an overhaul is Kurzweil Academy. So I'll back up by telling you a little bit about what Kurzweil does. So Kurzweil 3000 is literacy support software. So it helps address reading, study skills, writing, and test taking. So it's a broad literacy support software program. It will run and function on any device from any location. And I will show you how it does that. So basically there are three parts to the program. There's an installed version, a browser version, and read the web extensions. And because it now has a fully functional browser version, it will work on any device. So phone, Chromebook, iPad, or other. So under Kurzweil Academy, I just want to click on it for a minute. Again, this is the part of the website that's really been refreshed recently. So it now has all of these are links. So under one, there's lots of information on how to get started and so on. So I want to make sure I showed this website to you. Another area of the website that's helpful is the new feature area. So Kurzweil is updated each month. Our engineers release updates, and those updates can be found there. Let me go ahead and close that tab, and I'll just jump right into the software, because obviously the easiest way for people to understand software is for you to be able to see it. So I'm going to focus today on two of the three modalities of Kurzweil: the browser version of the software and the read the web extension. So with the browser version of the software, it will run again and function on any device from any location. So the URL is Kurzweil3000.com. You have the option to either sign in with a username and password. That's the way I'll log in just a minute. Or for any campus that has a campus-wide subscription, you will have the option to sign in using single sign-on, or you can see Google and or Microsoft are other options. So when someone logs into the tool, there are three tabs at the top. There's a Universal Library tab on the upper left, a My Account tab in the middle, and a Help tab. Now, I'm logged in as a teacher or administrator, so I have access to this middle tab. If I were logging in just as an individual or a student, I would see the first and third tab, but I wouldn't have access to this middle tab. This has some administrative parts to the program, including reports. You can add or remove users here, and do other administrative things. So when people log into the tool, they will see two yellow folders at the top, something called a public and private folder, and these blue folders underneath. Now, the point of the program is to bring reading material into Kurzweil. So it could be an assigned reading material for school, a textbook and or pleasure reading. You bring your reading, whatever it is you'd like to read, into Kurzweil, and when you open it, then Kurzweil has lots of features to support reading, study skills, writing, and or test taking. So let me go ahead and open something. What I did initially was I created some subfolders. So I pretended I was back in college college is on my mind these days. I have 2 daughters in high school, current junior and senior. And so my senior now is applying to colleges, and we've been looking for the past several months, so it's really on my mind. So I created subfolders simply by right-clicking, and I gave them the titles of the classes I was taking. So I pretended I'm back in college and taking biology, English, math, and psychology. And then I brought a short PDF on plant diversity into Kurzweil. And the way I did it was on the upper right, I selected computer, just navigated out to my desktop. This PDF was saved on my desktop, and I brought it into Kurzweil. As soon as you select something, Kurzweil then begins this process of recognizing the text and or any graphics and brings it into the program. So let me go ahead and open this. It's a short, I think it's 18-page PDF, but this could certainly be a longer textbook. And within the browser version of the software, the features live along the top and along the left. And I'll just show some of the features to you today. I'll highlight some of the features to customize the reading environment. I'll show some of the study skill features to you, and certainly some of the writing supports within the program. I want to talk a little bit about who I work with and speak with daily. So first and foremost, each and every day I have conversations with colleges and universities. So I work very closely with accessibility service type departments. They're all called different things, but day in and day out, I work very closely with colleges. I also work at the K-12 level, mostly with people who support students with learning differences. And then I often work with individuals. So here in Massachusetts, I work with the Department of Voc Rehab. It happens to be called Easter Seals locally. I would say most frequently, though, I am working with people at the college level. So I'm going to go across the top first, show you what some of these features are, and then make my way onto some of the features on the left. The piece of Kurzweil I'm not going to show today is the installed version, but I want you to know the browser version right here and the installed version have very similar feature sets. So the biggest distinction between the two, this browser version and the installed version, is really just the interface, so where the features live. So let me start off by showing you some of the customization options within the program. So first and foremost, under the wheel at the top, there are some audio options. Right now, Kurzweil, I'm going to switch the voice over to Darius. Darius is one of my preferred speakers. We subscribe to something called a cappella text-to-speech voices. And there is a wide range of male speakers, female speakers, speakers of other languages, and people should certainly play around to hopefully find a voice that they are comfortable listening to. We recently updated our a cappella text-to-speech voices, and we'll have another update with them coming soon. Another thing that can be done on the fly is adjusting the rate of speech. So Kurzweil lends itself to this multimodality way of reading where it will read text aloud and highlight. If the reading speed is going too quickly, you can certainly slow down the rate of speech and vice versa, bump it up. You can also tell Kurzweil the way you want the text highlighted and read aloud. And by default, it will highlight a sentence at a time and read in a continuous mode. So let me just go ahead and have this text-to-speech start. So I'm going to place my cursor where I'd like the text-to-speech and the highlighting to begin.
This practice emerged independently in various parts of the world, including the Near East, East Asia, Africa, and the Americas. One piece of evidence, the well-preserved squash seed in
So you could see the highlighted text and the read aloud. And anywhere along the way, if you'd like to have a segment of text read, you can just select the back button or certainly go forward. I'm going to circle back to the buttons that have the 3 dots in just a minute, and that's actually a feature that includes speech to text. So Kurzweil both provides text to speech, meaning it reads text aloud, but you also have the option to dictate into the software, and I will get to that in a minute. So on the upper right, there are some reference tools. So anywhere along the way, an individual can place their cursor before a word or highlight a whole word and easily obtain the dictionary definition of a word. In this instance, it's pulling from the American Heritage 5th edition dictionary. And anywhere there's text to speech. So you can place your cursor where you'd like that reading to begin and go back to the read button.
To move out or away from a surrounding fluid, covering, or shelter.
And someone could keep diving down. Oftentimes there may be a word or series of words within a definition that we need further clarification on, and we could keep diving down. So I placed my cursor before the word emerging, and I can pull up another definition. Another important thing that can be found under the reference area. So there's a translation feature, and the way it works is you can select any amount of text. And when you select translation, initially Kurzweil will translate the written text. And then when you select read, in this situation, I have the language Spanish chosen. Kurzweil will choose a Spanish speaker to have that text read aloud.
Las plantas con semillas también han tenido un enorme impacto en la sociedad humana. Hace aproximadamente.
And I want to stop there for 1 minute. First of all, to explain how the translate works, and then to talk a little bit more about the languages. So as far as I understand, the Kurzweil engineers have taken Google Translate and augmented it and made it work within the Kurzweil environment. Another thing about the languages at the top, English down through German, Kurzweil will both provide the text translation and give you a speaker or speakers for that language. So it will do just as I did with Spanish. It will translate the text and then read aloud using a speaker of that language. For the other languages, so Italian, it was English down to Swedish. For the other languages, Afrikaans, it's a long list, but all the way down to Zulu, Kurzweil will translate the text, but we don't have speakers for those languages. So let me take a quick pause. I don't see anything in the chat, but have any questions come in so far? Does anyone have any questions? And feel free to unmute yourself or put them in the chat. And if there are no questions, I'll keep moving along here. All right, great. I'm going to keep moving on. So another thing, in addition to dictionary definitions in Translate, there's a feature that's very helpful that can be a vocabulary or word support type feature. And the way it works is you can highlight words and then quickly extract definitions for those words, and it becomes a vocabulary study guide. So to do that, I'm going to go over to page 3. To change pages, I can use the arrows on the left or right or type a page number into the bottom. So I'm going to type page 3. And what I did prior to today's webinar was I highlighted 2 words. So there are a series of highlighters within the tool. So I used the yellow highlighter. I highlighted 2 words. And now to create this word or vocabulary study guide, I'll go back to the highlighters and I'll select vocabulary study guide in the bottom. And I'm going to deselect the other colors. And when I click OK, it's going to pull those 2 words and their definitions into a separate 3-column note file. So you can see on the bottom, I have vocabulary, definition 1, and if there were a second definition, it would show here in the 3rd column. And again, anywhere there's text to speech, so I can have that text read aloud.
A natural outer
if someone wanted to hide columns, if they were trying to test or quiz themselves, they can do that. They can certainly print this. If this were, let's say, chapter 1 of a longer book, and they were going to continue to add and pull more words or terms here, they could do that. So they could save this and then keep adding to this new column note file. What I'm going to do, I'm going to change the column header to column 3. Instead of saying definition 2, I changed it to my definition. One, because I often think when I put things into my own words, it helps with better understanding, but also increased long-term retention. So rather than trying to memorize a dictionary definition, if I put things in my own words, I feel like it not only helps with my understanding, but with my longer-term retention of that information. So I have the option to type within this area. And anytime you have the option to type or write within Kurzweil, whether it's taking a quick note or typing an entire paper, you also have the option to enable the voice dictation. So I know that's helpful for a lot of people now, particularly when they have longer writing assignments or even taking a quick note to be able to dictate rather than type. And so I'll go ahead and demonstrate it for you. It works really, really well within the browser version of the software. So I'm going to create a definition for the word integument. And so you place your cursor where you'd like the dictation to begin, and it's just the 3 buttons at the top. Integument is a tough protective outer layer in a plant or animal. Sorry, maybe I stopped it too soon. Let me start it one more time. Integument is a tough protective outer layer in a plant or animal. There we go. And so it generally does a really good job in terms of accuracy, but you can certainly go in and change things if it doesn't. And you saw that pop up. That's actually just Grammarly for anyone who's wondering, because I find it's helpful to use Grammarly in conjunction with Kurzweil sometimes. I'm going to go ahead and close this now, and I'm going to start to make my way to show some of the features on the left-hand side. So I showed the highlighters to you. The highlighters are really helpful. They can obviously have a broad range of purposes. Maybe even just pre-reading, you use different color highlighters and then extract those highlighted notes and just do some pre-reading of information of the highlighted text. I'm going to move down to note-taking. So it's really easy for people to begin to mark up their text using different types of notes. So we have sticky notes that just look like the colorful pieces of paper we're all familiar with. Within the sticky notes, you can change the font, the size, the shape, so there are different ways to customize the sticky note. But I'll say reread chapters 2, and 3. I can obviously have them read aloud. You can certainly remove notes if they're no longer needed as well. Another type of note, it's very similar to the sticky note, except they have a clear background, or text notes. Voice notes are similar to the speech to text I just showed you, but it's just showing up as a brief audio note. And I went ahead and created one that I will show you in just a second, but I also want to point out the last type of notes, which are bubble notes. As a prior special education teacher, or really just teacher in general, I love the idea of bubble notes. These are notes that you can embed throughout the text, and they might serve as a way to just make sure readers are paying attention, almost like mini formative assessments. So let me go ahead and show a voice note to you. And again, I created one on the last page here ahead of time. So with the voice notes, they show up as this little speaker icon, and this is going to auto-populate after this text is read. So let me go ahead and show that to you.
Pollination and other interactions between angiosperms and animals may have contributed to the success of
Review level 3 on synthesis and evaluation. So when you create notes, you can tell
flowering
Kurzweil
plants during the
to have them auto open just as that one did, and place it accordingly where you'd like it to open. Let me take, so I see actually, is there word prediction in sticky notes? There is a word prediction feature, yes. Let me see here. I'll take another pause. Oh, so can it be exported into Word? Yes, when you are writing things, you can export and save into different file types. And obviously the helpful part of that is then someone without Kurzweil can then open whatever it is that you have typed. I'm going to make a transition now into some of the writing aspects of the program. During my time here, Kurzweil has really grown a lot. And I think probably the biggest areas of growth have been in the areas of study skills and writing. Maybe the other area that's really grown a lot is the area of test taking. And there are lots of ways that a teacher can really control and lock down the test taking environment. But so to talk a little bit about writing, I'm going to go back to the home area of the program. We call it the Universal Library. And there are different ways that people can use Kurzweil when they are writing. And I'll just show a couple of examples to you. So on the bottom, there is a writing templates folder. And what the writing templates are outlines that can either be viewed in a traditional outline form or as a graphic organizer. And these are prompts to help people get started with a writing assignment. So let me open the higher ed folder. And you can see here the different writing templates are alphabetized. And I'll go ahead and open academic essay. So as I said just a minute ago, you can view these writing templates either as a graphic organizer or in more of a traditional linear outline view. It's the exact same prompts. It's really just a matter of personal preference. And the idea behind these is to help someone get started and organized with a writing assignment. So oftentimes these are helpful for people that really struggle with getting their thoughts down and organized, really helpful with executive functioning type skills. And so when you're working within them, you just begin to customize them. So topic, mine was plant diversity, and so on. Anywhere there is a piece of paper, so there's a small piece of paper next to academic essay. When you expand that, Kurzweil will provide more information on whatever the prompt is. And I'll go ahead and have this one read aloud.
Typical format for an academic paper includes an introduction and a thesis. The thesis is supported by a series of body paragraphs with subpoints and a conclusion.
So someone could go on and begin to put their information in. And all of these can be customized. So if someone maybe was working at a writing center or working with a teacher and they both decided that this was good, it didn't quite match what they had in mind, they can certainly go in and customize. You can also start off with a blank graphic organizer and make your own. So there are also all different editing options available here. You could certainly just make this a fun brainstorming activity, a teacher with a class and they're introducing a new topic and they can brainstorm with students. So there are different applications to this. But if I were creating an outline on plant diversity and I finished my outline, one helpful feature is to be able to view your outline on one part of your screen, but then leave a blank draft area on the right. So to do that, if I go back up to views, when I select split screen, it's going to bump this outline into the outline view, put it on the left, and then leave a blank draft area on the right. And oftentimes this is helpful because then people can both look and listen to their outline on the left and then think about how they want to add more details on the right. So I am going to, can you bring, sorry, I'm looking at the chat here, in graphic organizers from other programs. No, I don't think you can bring others in, but you could certainly replicate because there is an authoring part of this program. You could certainly replicate and create your own to look like something that you may see in Inspiration. People often ask if this was based on Inspiration or Kidspiration. I don't know where the original ideas were, but I do know the person that has created most of our writing templates. So you could again begin to expand on your outline by adding more detail. Here you can drag and drop text, you can begin to type, you can dictate. And so that is an option. You certainly don't have to split your screen like this. You can just start off with a blank draft area within the writing part of the program. I am going to go back to the Universal Library and just point out a couple other things on the top here. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to switch over to the Read the Web extension, which is helpful for reading any website. So again, I want to point out with the black buttons on the upper right, you can easily go in and out of your Google Drive if you're working with OneDrive. For any individual that has a Bookshare account, we have some level of partnership with Bookshare where you can go right out to the Bookshare site, put in your Bookshare user credentials, and then pull in a book from Bookshare and obviously go out to your computer. So the one big part of Kurzweil that I didn't show, but I want to make sure at least I talk about it, is to use Kurzweil with or for increased independence during test taking. So oftentimes people at the college level and or at the K-12 level will use Kurzweil as a tool for increased independence during a test taking time. And so for any student that has a read aloud accommodation written into an IEP or other education program, rather than having a teacher read aloud to that student or group of students, you can bring a test or exam into Kurzweil. Kurzweil then becomes the reader, excuse me, and it really just lends itself to a lot more independence for the student. And we very consistently hear that students like that increased independence during a test taking time rather than having a teacher be the read aloud. So I'm going to switch gears right now, and I'm going to switch over to Kurzweil's Read the Web extension. And what the Read the Web extension does, first of all, it's available for Firefox, Edge, or Chrome. And you would have to add that extension to your browser. So if you can see here, my cursor on the upper right, I've already added it to Chrome. And it requires you to put in your username and password. And then it will show up as a toolbar that hovers over the website. Put in my password. And this will work with any website. It also integrates nicely with LMSs. So I am in Canvas right now, and I have opened a reading assignment, and you can see there were some highlighted text that were saved here. So it shows up as this toolbar, and I won't go over what all the tools were, but I'll certainly show some of them to you. So first of all, you can change the location of this toolbar. So on the upper right, if it's interfering with your ability to read a website, you can certainly change the location of this toolbar. So you still have access to choose a voice with the Read the Web extension. You can certainly also adjust the rate of speech. Here too, you can choose how you want the text read aloud and highlighted. You obviously have your read buttons. So this works the same way. You place your cursor where you'd like the text to speech and the highlighted text to begin.
The site on the San Pedro River had the fewest species and fewest birds, perhaps because it was east of a migration corridor.
You have the option to turn the text to speech on or off. So I can't think of too many situations where you would want that done, but maybe someone is practicing their own fluency and they want the text highlighted, but they want to do the reading aloud on their own. You certainly still have access to dictionaries, highlighters, and some other things. So I would say the biggest piece that's not in this Read the Web extension is the writing piece, but that's not necessarily applicable when you're using Kurzweil to just read a website. That is really it. I want to jump back to our organizational website to you and just talk a little bit more about the updates to the tools. And certainly give my information to you as well. Actually, why don't I do that right now? I'm going to put my contact information in here. So if anyone has any questions after, they can certainly reach out to me. So I'm going to create a new draft and then put my contact information in here. I'll make the font nice and big. So my name is Cami Griffith. Actually, I'll make it even bigger. There we go. My email address is cami.griffith@kurzweiledu.com. And the telephone number is 1-800-894-5374, and I am extension 653. I would say one of the reasons why I thoroughly enjoy working here, I enjoy working with the people I work with, but I know the organizational supports are really strong. So for all of our customers, we have an outstanding customer service department and a technical support team, and everyone is very helpful. So a question, is there a way for AT assessors to get access to Kurzweil 3000? Yes, so there are free trials for everyone. But if you'd like to reach out to me offline, I can certainly tell you. So I have a certain amount of licenses that I can certainly give someone for trial or demonstration purposes as well. So there are a couple of different ways that we could go about doing that. But if I go over to our website, anyone, so it's kurzweiledu.com. This is what I had opened at the very beginning. Anyone can access a free trial. So whoops, let me read the web extension out of the way. So where it says sign up for free, anyone can access a free 30-day trial. What is the pricing structure? Great. And I'll just read the other. Do you know if a user accessing the web version and the internet drops, will they use? So there is an offline mode that will last. I can't remember now. It's several days. It's increased. So if your internet connection drops, I believe it will save. If you're logging back in from the same machine, I think you can still get access to whatever it was. But more specifically, I would probably put that question over to our tech support team. So for the pricing structure, good question. So there are two different ways it can be purchased or used. So there is a way that you can purchase Kurzweil outright. So one-time fee for ownership, and that's the installed version of the program. And you would buy it per number of computers, and you would buy it at its current version. And then down the road, if we move to a different version, or when we did, you would have a heavily discounted rate to upgrade if you'd like to the newest version. What's more common now is that people are subscribing to Kurzweil. And you have the option to subscribe on a single user all the way up to like a school or campus-wide basis or organizational basis with a large number of licenses. Sorry, so forgive me if you addressed this already, but do you know if it's planning on adding? So great question. I'm getting that a lot now, as you can imagine. But so about AI, we are looking into it, and there are no confirmed plans right now. So very recently, I have an organizational meeting with my whole team at Kurzweil every Friday, and we've talked a lot about AI. I think we want to talk about what it may look like, particularly in the writing parts of the program, but also what we anticipate some of the risk type questions may be from schools in terms of, is this fair? Is it cheating? And all the questions that we're hearing about. So we're looking into it, but nothing's